AAA gaming has been nothing short of a dumpster fire in the last 10 years. But in the last 5 years, it has been a complete shit show, in fact. I understand if a company tries to make a good game, they have an idea, and it just doesn't work out. They put their best effort in trying to make a fun game that people like and appease the audience. But it just did not work out. That's acceptable. If you fail because of that, I honestly forgive you. I don't think that's a problem. Needless to say, there's probably going to be consequences to that, but a world with consequences is a good world, in my opinion. But in the last 5 years, these people are not even trying to make games that appease the audience. In fact, in the last 5 years or so, some would say less, some would say more, it has been a very strong push from game developers to explicitly try and not, in fact, appease the audience. A lot of these companies are, in fact, doing the exact opposite of appeasement. They're trying to piss off their audience. They're constantly saying, this game is not for you, men. This game is not for this type of audience. And then they cry that you, for some reason, did not support the product that was blatantly marketed not for you. And they're mad. It's just how do these things happen? And one of the greatest things in these past 5 years of wokeness that has happened, because yes, obviously this is all tieable with a neat little ribbon of wokeness, complete political pandering, and all of those things that fit right into that four-letter word, beautiful, right? One of the greatest things that we have gotten, one of the stupidest things, honestly, not just the greatest, is the self insert. In the last 5 years, we have gotten an incredible amount of self insert from these companies. And the examples of this at this point are actually outstandingly many. One of the recent years' favorite example of self insert is probably the Spider-Man 2 Mary Jane situation, which is absolutely hilarious. Now, granted, there is a little bit of a story behind this, and it's the fact that this person right here said that they were a junior code writer or something like that. The occupation doesn't matter. It was not a person who designed the character. It was seemingly this person had absolutely no power in the company at all, and they said that it was not a self insert or anything, which obviously no one believes because somehow they look exactly one to one. Either it was a self insert by someone or someone was simping really hard, boys. It is what it is. One of the greatest examples of a modern day self insert. Most people know this one. But the examples don't stop here. Oh, and by the way, the funniest part is Mary Jane looked completely different in the previous game, and now she looks like this because of a car crash that happened between games. Yes. So, yeah, something fishy is definitely going on here. What exactly it is, no one knows. But it is funny. The real deal behind all of these self inserts, though, is a little bit more funny. Some of you may actually not know this, but this is gaining more traction as always. And it's obviously a 4chan post. It's somehow always a 4chan post at the end of the day. And this one is a great one. Lego did a study when they created the Lego Friends line for girls, where they discovered that when a boy plays with a toy of a character, he tries to become that character. The moment I read this, honestly, it kind of clicked in my mind. I instantaneously thought, yeah, I do that. I do that as an adult, even. Wow. Anyway, and when a girl does the same thing, she tries to make the character become her. And this also instantaneously clicked to me because this is what my cousins did. I have a lot of female cousins, by the way. And I have a reasonably good memory, so I actually remember some of them playing with their Barbies and toys and whatnot. And yeah, this actually tracks. This actually tracks completely perfectly, in fact. So if you give a boy a Batman toy, he's gonna want to know everything there is to know about Batman, and he'll try to think and talk like Batman. Relatable. When he plays with the toy, the little girl, on the other hand, is gonna make Batman go shopping, bake cookies, and go to the prom. That's not to say there aren't exceptions. Refer to the meme, we all know the meme, except those who don't. And you will understand one day. That's not to say there aren't any exceptions on both sides, but that's the data. That's the data that allowed Lego to finally get a foothold on the girls' market after decades of failed attempts. So this is not exactly what you would call scientifically proved data. It's something even more valuable and accurate and truthful because this is money. This is money speaking. This was something that was conducted in order to make money, and it made money. So this is absolutely 150 billion% more truthful, more real than any scientific study ever made. And it matters a whole lot more because of it. And this thing is kind of just constantly understandable when you look at the state of gaming and everything that honestly is happening. Insomniac leaks suggest Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart was a financial flop. Surprise, surprise. The other thing, however, is Sam Marge, you're gonna understand the name, credits was never given, which is essentially damning considering how hard she fought to make sure Rivet wasn't overly sexualized, even criticizing that the character once had large breasts and makeup. And here is the person that we're speaking about. Again, it's always some kind of activist writer. It's always some kind of woke person. This was, by the way, before flags were a thing in the bio, I'm pretty sure. At one point, my CD yelled at me in front of the whole office because I kept saying Lombax Duddies every very loud in the office whenever anyone would bring up Rivet's design and made people uncomfortable. You know what made me uncomfortable? Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, thanks in large part to blah, blah, blah. Rivet got jacked as hell, and as we yeeted. Yeah. So, again, it's activism. It's activism. I missed out a couple of words, but honestly, you should be able to understand what's happening here. As you see, it's activism. This person, by the way, should have absolutely no impact on the design of the characters because they just write the story or whatever. But here you go, they did. So Alana Pierce is responsible for a lot of damage in the industry, needless to say. Then you have things like this. This was the casting director for Avatar, and needless to say, everyone in Avatar Season 2 is pretty upset with a bunch of choices here, needless to say. God damn! Yeah, not good, not great. Here's a literal compilation of things, by the way, that are literal self-inserts. Remember when they made Velma Black? I do. I have videos on that. Velma was a great show, okay, listen. Velma was the best show. My brain melted, reassembled itself, melted again, and I'm still probably suffering the consequences. It was great, and it had 2 seasons, or 3 seasons? Anyway, I wish there was another. Okay, self-insert, 100% self-insert. This is not even the best example. In other pictures, you can blatantly know. She, by the way, admitted it's a self-insert. This is also someone who reimagined Starfire. Yes, that is supposed to be Starfire right there. After raiding at least 2 bakeries. This is a self-insert. This comment right here is saying that this is supposed to be a cosplay, but this is April O'Neil from the. When I was a kid, she was so hot, and now it's gone. It's gone, boys. This is an example of what happened with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Again, people putting self-inserts in the game is technically nothing exactly new, but there's a certain group of people, for some reason, who really, really enjoy doing it a lot more than others. They pretty much feel that it's their job to do so. It's pretty disgusting. These are examples of some of the biggest releases in gaming that we have had for women, by the way. No idea what this is. Mary Jane from Spider-Man 2. This is Doom Dark Days, Darker Days, or whatever it's called. This is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Wonder Woman, if you're wondering. No idea. Oh, no, wait, this is the Star Wars Ubisoft game. Right, I did not see this the first time. Fable, Starfield, I think that's another marriage. I'm not sure what this one's supposed to be. I feel like I have seen it, but no. And I feel like I have also seen this one, but also somehow magically, no. This was what we had previously, you know, when games were designed to not push political narratives and actually appeal to people who play them. This is us now, and Aloy is probably the greatest example of this. A lot of people know the Aloy story. If you do not, it's a short one, but it's a great one. And it is the fact that Aloy, in Horizon Zero Dawn, the first game, was actually likable. I liked her. A lot of people liked her. She was cute, interesting, decent. A decent character, you know? You could have better, you could have had worse. But in general, decent. And she looked good. She looked decent. Again, not a bombshell or anything like that, but she was fine. And then to own the chuds in the second version of the game, which by the way sold 50% less than the first one because the writing was there on the wall. They literally changed her facial structure to that of a man. They literally changed her body structure in the game to that of a male. Yes. Yes, that's the world we live in. Again, who the fuck is this supposed to be? Is this some kind of Resident Evil game? Is this X-Men or something like that? I am not sure. I'm pretty sure this right here is the same as this one here, but I'm not sure who that is. Someone in the comments, if you would tell me, I would actually be interested. This is the people who are making Fable. Fable, as we all know, is going to be an absolute woke shit fiesta. It's going to be bad, and the word bad honestly doesn't even begin to describe how bad things truly are. This is Dragon Age Veilguard. Yes. And Dragon Age Veilguard, if you did not know, was a literal game to be designed as a trauma dump. Yes. Because the whole point of the game is to establish your trans identity, if you did not know. A lot of people didn't play it because, well, Dragon Age is garbage. And yeah. And also, by the way, after destroying the Dragon Age franchise, this person is gonna still allegedly, we don't have confirmation, and with everything that Xbox is currently shutting down, and all the layoffs that are happening, maybe no longer, but this person was supposed to be in charge of a new studio making a massive new AAA game, or a continuation or something like that. But in any case, it's like being this kind of grifter in the AAA industry is the ultimate just somehow magically tumbling up the stairs. And you're not just making one step, you're making like fucking 5. Literally in charge of a whole goddamn studio. We still don't know if it's actually happening or not. The rumor was pretty solid initially, but then things changed, so we currently don't know. That's how that ends. Blizzard is also just in general a blatantly great, prominent example of activism taking hold. I told you Bobby was the G. Hard R N-word Bobby Kotick, boys. He was holding the dam. He was keeping Blizzard from becoming the cesspool of activism. I mean, just look at World of Warcraft. Look, I literally made a 35-minute video talking about the current state of World of Warcraft, the raiding, the lore, the everything. If you wanna go watch it, just write World of Warcraft. It's gonna be the newest video in the search bar in my YouTube channel. I'm not gonna dwell on it too much here, but yeah, World of Warcraft has, just to summarize it up a little bit. World of Warcraft has effectively decided to abandon the audience that made it once great, famous, and the biggest game in the world. And they decided to abandon this audience for the Zoomer audience that doesn't care about the game and the woman audience. And the woman audience, when you actually listen to what they want in World of Warcraft, is effectively just a slightly different summarization of this 4chan post, but it still holds effectively true. Because you see, when you talk to women in World of Warcraft, and by the way, Blizzard did succeed in like doubling or tripling the amount of female player base, but I mean, at what cost? So it didn't actually work out the way that they intended, but it did work out. They did get more females by completely ruining many aspects of the game. Because when you talk to women and what they like about World of Warcraft, they're fine with the graphics, they're fine with the story, they're fine with the classes, they're fine with this, they're fine with that. The only thing that they like is the Arator storyline because he's hot. And no, that's literally the majority opinion. They don't really know what his storyline is about, even most of the time, but he is hot, so it's a good storyline. And that's pretty much the only thing in general what they like. Okay? They're fine with the light not being evil, they think it's neat. Now, the light being evil, they think it's neat because it's not black and white. And, effectively, the summarization is women don't actually give a shit about the lore, what's happening. They're fine with it because their priorities are literally elsewhere. Housing decorations, and transmogging. That's where the priorities are. But yeah, they don't care. So World of Warcraft changed their lore, changed their story, changed their everything in the name of a player base that literally does not care and is not afraid to tell you that they don't care about it. Because the women player are fine with the lore being like it is, or actually becoming like original World of Warcraft Classic, Burning Crusade, or Lich King. They don't really care too much between the two. All they care about is the fact that the customization options stay the same and whatnot. Okay? That's what they care. They don't actually want this lore in general, even. They're just not actively against it. That's what Blizzard switched out their consumer base of men for, by the way. Great stuff, obviously. Yeah, the situation is pretty bad and sad. AAA gaming is an absolute S show at the end of the day. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Like the video, and bye-bye.